Australia, we are the biggest gas exporter in the world. We're a huge coal exporter. We've got an abundance of energy sources, wind and solar. Then why are prices so high? Why has the electricity market collapsed? And why are Channel 9, Channel 7, the entire mainstream media, the News Corp papers, Rupert's Mob, why are they all telling us we need to supply more gas? We need to keep the coal going. We need this gas-led transition. Guess what? It's no longer being called the gas-led transition by those in the know. They are now monitoring this as the gas-led catastrophe. What we're going to do is follow the money. Quite as simple as that, and we'll give you a quick explainer as to what's going on. Because AIMO, the energy market operator, has taken the radical step of just stepping in and saying no more market. We're now going to control things here. There is no market anymore. There's threats of blackouts, and the corporations are making record profits, and these guys don't pay much tax. So what is going on? There is a fundamental flaw in what they call a market here. There's not a buyer and seller with a visible price and everything like that. If they can say, we need to spend all this money building transmission lines, finding the coal and the gas, then you will have to pay us more. And they go to the regulator and they game the regulator. And obviously what's happened here is the regulator has had enough. They are being extorted. This is corporate extortion. Following the money a little bit further, let's look at this market operator. Let's look at AIMO. Who owns AIMO? You'd think it was a government authority. Well, it's sort of a government authority, but it's 40% owned by the electricity companies themselves, by the suppliers. It's like sort of a captured regulator, if you like. The other 60% is the states. And the more money that the state corporations make, in Queensland, for instance, where they overcharge massively, the more cost goes on our bills. It's as simple as that. The more they charge, the more money they make. So AIMO is effectively, besides being the market operator, which does all the technical stuff, they also are the forecaster, and they also determine sources of supply. So these large companies, which are the suppliers, many of them, such as Energy Australia, foreign owned. The pipelines, the gas pipelines, Jemena, Singapore and China owned. A lot of foreign multinationals, a lot of tax haven activity. But we digress. So in the early 1990s, Jeff Kennett in Victoria, the Premier there then, privatised the electricity industry. In New South Wales, a few years later, they started to corporatise it, to turn it into, break it up into little companies. And this just snowballed, this absolute chaos, this mess of all these different corporations, supposedly creating a market. The price internationally for coal and gas is going through the ceiling. It is astronomical. And so what we're doing effectively is we're paying international prices for Australian gas, which means electricity too, because gas, when demand peaks, the gas comes into the market and they can charge pretty much what they like in order to cater for this peaking demand on the hottest days in summer, air conditioners, and the coldest day in winter, heaters. But there are a whole lot of side scams too, like the peak demand scam, like the AEMC. There's another thing. So we've got the AIMO, which is the market operator. We have the AEMC, which is the Australian Energy Market Commission. They make the rules, and they are heavily influenced by large corporations, the multinationals, heavily influenced. They are the rule maker. And then we have the poor little AER, which is the Australian Energy Regulator. Goes to court and it's up against armies of people in wigs and gowns, while its own little team, like the movie The Castle, is sitting there saying, it's the vibe, Your Honour. And these guys have got their consultants and so on, because, of course, there are billions of dollars at stake in energy bills and in profits for these companies. It's a no competition. It's a no-win for the regulator. They try to do their job well, but they're up against it. For 9 years, the coalition presided over this mess, and now they're pointing the bone at Labor, saying, guys, what are you going to do about this? And they've got Sky News and all their little foot soldiers running around pointing the fingers too, saying it's Labor's fault. Saying, mate, come on, you've had 4 weeks in office. Haven't you fixed this yet? It is a mess, and it is an unfolding story. But we need to get this message across to the public that there is a lot of lies, there are a lot of lies and misinformation, disinformation, everything out there in the media. Australia has an abundance of energy sources. Prices on the West Coast, where they have a domestic reservation policy, they say you have to supply 10% or thereabouts to customers in WA first. Prices are very low there. The market works well. But in the eastern states, we have this faux market, this fake market. And of course, the other lie is that it's the cost of renewables in the market. Or renewable energy doesn't work. Look, it's all blowing up. Since we've got more renewables, we've got higher prices. This is a total, gigantic lie. It is not true because renewables cost much less than coal and gas power. It simply costs less to generate renewable energy because the sources themselves, wind and solar and water, hydro, they are free. It's just the hardware that we pay for. The fact is, if we had moved more quickly to renewable energy in Australia, we would not be having this energy crisis. And all these lies being peddled by the corporate media that we need to bring on more gas supply.
Gas price is also soaring because it's linked to the international market price and its supply has been constrained by state government bans on exploration and development.
But we need to expose that lie, that this is not about supply. This is not about needing to produce more gas and blow up the planet. This is about an absolute debacle in government and regulation. That's what it is about. It is about large corporations profiting, extorting the regulators and profiting at the expense of ordinary Australian consumers. Shout out to Patreon supporters. Thank you for your support. This stuff is absolutely critical. It's critical that people know the truth about what is going on with large corporations and big government, the deals that are being done. Thanks for your support. We'll keep it coming.